So I am having a dilemma and I don't know how to go about this video. This video is not going to be as organized, but maybe what I would have to say would resonate with whoever is tuning in regarding to being indigenous and so on and so forth, or mixed with indigenous, whatever you identify as. Um, but yeah, I don't know how to go about this because knowing what I know now about being also part Lenape Indian, it's like, how do I go about correcting some historical facts that are like in history books and on Google, so on and so forth? Because where I live in Staten Island, according to some Google searching and book searching, according to these documents, it is saying that all the Lenape Indians have either died or moved to Oklahoma. I also learned that in school growing up. However, there are some families still out here who are Lenape, including my own family. So for those who are new to this channel or just coming across this video, I am a mixed person, but I talk a lot about indigenous stuff on my channel because that is a huge factor in my family. And I am also enrolled in the Cape Fear Indian School, Wilcon in North Carolina. And I'm enrolled from my dad's side, but turns out I just learned that my mom is also connected to the Tuscarora tribe as well. And it's so crazy because this person in my family who I've been really keeping in contact with, I really don't know her as much. This is a distant relative, but this relative has been showing me a bunch of documents of our indigenous ancestors. And one of my ancestors who I have posted up in one of my videos, I'll put a picture here because I showed this ancestor in one of my videos before. Um, she was labeled as mulatto and Negro, mostly mulatto, but there is a document of her being labeled as Indian, and it's just so much confirmation. But you have to do so much digging to find these documents. That's really rare to find because you'll find a lot of mulattoes and Negroes, but to have an ancestor labeled down as Indian, that's pretty hard to find. So it's pretty cool that I'm coming across these documents. But anyway, that's not really the main point of this video. The main point of this video is how the heck do I go about correcting some historical facts? So when it comes to Lenape Indian, I am Lenape on my mother's side, but I have a feeling that my dad has some of that too. But that's another topic for another time. So on my mother's side, I am Lenape Indian, and I was always told Ramapo, even though we don't go to the powwows or anything. And the Ramapos, they're located in Jersey. But I was always told that I was Lenape from out here in Staten Island. And for those who don't know, because when it comes to New York, you know about Brooklyn, Manhattan, Queens, Bronx, but you don't really hear about the forgotten borough, Staten Island. But there were Indians out here, and my family has been living on this island for so, so long. And now that I am getting more comfortable with reaching out to family and distant family, I've been hearing more and more of us being Lenape. And I've even heard a story a long time ago about one of my great grandfathers was like the chief out here. And it's believable because there wasn't that many people living in Staten Island back then. So I can believe that. And yeah, since I've been learning more about this side of the family and more confirmation of people saying it, it's like, okay, why, according to historical books, they're saying that all the Lenapes are dead or have moved to Oklahoma? When, okay, maybe part of that, some died, some moved to Oklahoma, but there are still a good amount that still live in Staten Island. And if anything, the Lenape people out here had mixed with other people because my ancestors had mixed in with the Tuscarora people that moved up to New York, also the Caribbean people that came out here. And as far as I know, Italian, but according to some people in my family, um, they're now saying that we're not really mixed with Italian. Some people back then passed for Italian, so to have a better life, they just label themselves as Italian. And I'm like, okay, now that's too much digging that I have to like look at, because I found documents of an ancestor coming from Italy, and although DNA sites are wishy-washy with things, um Italian comes up on mines, even like Greek and sometimes Turkish, but I don't know. I mean, it was a thing back then. People passing for like white and labeling themselves as like white. Although I don't know why my family would want to say Italian, because those are the blacks or the whites. Like I don't know. But yeah, certain people have done that. Um I don't know if any of y'all know, well, of course, like the grown-ups, the grown folks will know about this, but anyway, I'm getting distracted by outside noise. But so one of my ancestors was a baseball player back in the day, Don Newcomb, and he was friends with like Babe Ruth and so on and so forth. And according to certain people that know of his stories, um, and know about Babe Ruth, because people were friends with him out here, they even said that Babe Ruth is half black. And I know there's some controversy about his ethnicity, because people are saying that he's like 100% German, and other people are saying like no, he's half black. According to some people out here who knew of him and were friends with him, and my family being related to Don Newcomb and knowing about those stories, like behind the scenes stories, I heard that Babe Ruth was like half black. So of course I'm getting off topic, but I know, being back in the day, people were like passing for certain groups just to get by. So turns out, supposedly my family is not really Italian. They're really Lenape on a certain side of the tree, but they could pass for Italian, so therefore it's just so much digging. But I don't know. I don't know how to go about this. And I've been thinking about contacting certain people in office. Um, of course, I would have to show proof that I am Lenape. So it's just so much going on. And on top of that, I'm writing books, and I also work. So is so much time consuming to this, but I feel like I'm being pulled to do this. So there's that. And also back in 2013, these construction workers had came across a site somewhere in Staten Island, I believe Burial Ridge, and they had uncovered 30,000 artifacts of Indian stuff, like as far as like bows and arrows and cooking utensils and everything, and bones. And I was thinking about seeing if whoever, because I think the Staten Island Museum has a lot of these artifacts, and whoever's involved, I was thinking about seeing if they can test my DNA with the bones that they found, just to show that I'm connected to the people of the past that lived out here. I don't know. There's just a lot going on. And I'm also really considering next year starting to go to some of the Lenape powwows in Jersey, like the Ramapos, because that's what I've heard first. Go there, ask questions. And then also the Raritans. I don't know if I'm pronouncing their names right, But learning about the Lenapes that lived in Staten Island, they had came from the Raritan tribe and crossed over the river and just migrated here and started occupying both sides of Jersey and Staten Island. So technically, the Raritan tribe is like a distant family tribe. So, I'm thinking about going to these powwows and really start asking some questions because I'm very stubborn, and knowing what I know now, how can I not go and see about changing some historical so-called facts when it's not the complete story of what actually happened, and the fact that there are still Lenape people out here, or at least mixed Lenape. I don't know. So as you can see, doing indigenous research on your ancestors can be very time consuming, or hard, even, especially if your ancestors have been mislabeled and identified as something else. Um, it's a lot of work, but it is very rewarding, and how deep you want to go about this is totally up to you. For me, it's like, it seems like I'm taking it even further, especially if I'm thinking about reshaping how they written down the Lenapes in Staten Island. Like, this is a journey, and I'm patient with this. I'm not trying to get this done overnight. As long as the history has been corrected, I feel like that is the first step of progress. Because speaking to this distant relative that I was talking about earlier, because she was showing me a lot, and I had asked her, like, what the heck happened? We know all of this information. Why it's been hidden? And of course, just like other families, she had mentioned that our grandparents or great grandparents, they were really forced to be called something else, and it was a lot of controversy, and it got violent sometimes if they was to speak out and talk about being indigenous American. So of course, going through all that hardship, it's like they eventually just moved on. And now the grandchildren, like myself, we have to, if you're being called to do this, of course, it's like we have to pick up where they had left off and reshape this reality of identification. But yeah, that's all for my venting as far as this indigenous journey goes. I think next week, or maybe the week after that, I'm going to make a video talking about family members who passed for white, because now that I'm thinking about my family, a lot of the Italians came out here and they freaking just took over everything. So if my family had said that they were Italian just to get by, I can see why. And on top of that, my grandfather, he was really cool with the mob. So I don't know. I really don't know, but I find that really fascinating. And yeah, I'm definitely going to have to do a video like that, because my mom, she can pass for white. Some people think she's white, some people think she's Spanish or whatever. Um and people colored people who can pass for white, they do get a lot of hate thrown at them just for looking the way they look. So yeah. Yeah.